Meantime, can we trust a man who has slaughtered and gassed his own people, according to the administration, to actually turn over those weapons to help ensure the survival of his own regime? In a sit-down interview with our own Chris Wallace, President Obama recalled some wise words from the great communicator, President Reagan. Watch.
I think we should explore and exhaust all avenues of diplomatic resolution of this, but I think it's important for us to keep the pressure on and to quote, or to paraphrase at least, a former U.S. President, Ronald Reagan. It's not enough just to trust. I think we're going to have to verify.
So let's bring in international security expert Dr. Jim Walsh of the MIT Security Studies Program. Good to have you with us this afternoon.
Good to be with you, Martha.
So, you know, I want to know what your take is on all of this Russian proposal, and now the word from Vladimir Putin that the only way that he'll convince Syria to agree to get rid of these chemical weapons is if the United States says, look, force is off the table. Military force is not part of this equation.
Well, you know, if we were able to do this, and I want to underline if, because it's an enormous challenge, and I'm happy to describe why it's an enormous challenge. If we were able to do it, it would have some advantages over a military strike. Why do I say that? The military strike was not going to go after the chemical agent for fear of sending off a plume of toxic gas. It was going to hit some of the delivery vehicles, manufacturing sites, some of the chemical weapons units, the military units, but not the agent. The advantage of this, if it makes any progress, is that it would actually take what we're concerned about, which is the chemical weapons agent, the sarin, the mustard gas, and take it away. So that would actually have some advantages over the military strike. But it's an enormous and complex challenge.
Is there any... Do you think that that would happen? I mean, is that really what Russia would hope to accomplish, or is Russia just hoping to accomplish making the United States look somewhat feckless in all of this?
Well, you know, I have had strong skepticism about Russian motives all along here. But if the Russians were going to stick it to us, and I thought they were, they would welcome the strike, hoping that the strike would make the U.S. look bad and weaken the U.S. So I'm sort of surprised that they've sort of jumped in at the last minute here and might underline offer something that could be a deal that would get us ahead. But you know, the Russians don't like chemical weapons. They're destroying their chemical weapons. They don't want they support Assad. They support their ally, but they don't want to see the use of chemical weapons. That makes them look bad too. So I think everyone wants them, everyone but Assad would like to see Syria get rid of its chemical weapons. The question is whether you can do it or not.
You know, you've got the political level of all of this, and there's a lot of talk that Putin has made President Obama not look so great in all of this, and that he's come out sort of looking like the diplomat who's able to bring people together, which is the exact opposite of, you know, what President Obama has been suggesting here in terms of military force, and saying that the diplomatic avenues have been exhausted. So what about the people? You know, we look at these videos, okay? What does this mean? If you're a civilian on the ground in Syria right now, what is next for you?
Well, Martha, I think it's important to separate two big things. One is the Civil War, being fought with, you know, regular old guns and knives and bombs. Nothing's going to change. That's going to continue. And that was going to continue whether we have a military strike, which is going to be limited with no boots on the ground, or it's going to continue if we get a deal that removes the chemical weapons. Because the U.S. objective here is not about the Civil War. It's not about the civilians. It's really focused on the use of chemical weapons very, very narrowly. So I'm sad to report that no matter what happens, that Civil War is going to continue. But honestly, as a security expert, you know, you really don't want to get stuck in the middle of a Civil War. They're horrific, but oh my God, they're the worst thing that you can get involved in. But sadly, for those Syrians on the ground, this is going to continue regardless of whether there's a military strike or a new deal that the Russians and the Americans work out.
Jim Walsh, thank you very much. Good to talk to you today. We'll see where all of this goes, and we'll hear from the president tonight. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.